Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lindsay. Today we're doing a very fun full face brand. We're doing a full face of Milk makeup. This is such a cool, interesting brand that I've been wanting to try for the longest time. So I got a bunch of their products to try out and do a wear test for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it at any point. Let's try to get this video to 300 likes. So give it a like if you enjoy it, but let's get into the video. Alright guys, let's get started. I have all my stuff in this little pouch here, so I picked up a couple products, and I also got this set which had minis in it. It was a holiday edition set, and they took it off Sephora's site like the day after I got it. I don't have this specific set, but I will link below. They have some other sets that include these minis, but let's get started on the makeup. The first product I have here is I feel like one of Milk Makeup's most popular products. This is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I've never tried this. I put it on my hand in Sephora. Such an interesting texture. I'm really interested to see how this performs on my skin because I know a lot of people like it and it seems like a very unique primer. So this little size I have here, they do sell for $15 on Sephora's site if you guys are curious. And this is described as a hydrating makeup gripping primer with cannabis seed extract and blue agave for hydration. It is free of a bunch of ingredients. The list is pretty long, so I'm not going to read all of them, but if you just go on Sephora's site, you can get all the info about it. But the first ingredient is aloe, glycerin, have some alcohol, other things. Nothing that really stands out to me as a ingredient for me to stay away from this product. Milk Makeup is also vegan and cruelty free, by the way, but let me just do 2 pumps of this. I think should be enough. It has this really interesting goopy gel texture almost. I thought this would go on more sticky. It does still you feel like there's a grip to it, but when you're smoothing it over your skin, it feels pretty smooth. I'm guessing that's from the glycerin. There's not really a ton of scent to this. There's a little bit of something, but nothing that I can really detect. All right, this surprised me. I really actually like the texture of it. I thought it would be really tacky and sticky, but it feels nice and smooth, but you can tell it's hydrating as well, which is nice in a primer, especially if you have more drier skin. For foundation, I decided to pick up the Milk Makeup. It's their matte foundation. I wanted to pick this one up because it's the most full coverage foundation that Milk Makeup offers. You guys know I'm a full coverage type of girl. I just love trying and finding new full coverage foundations because I do feel like in the clean beauty space, it's a category of foundation that there's not a ton of. And I also wanted to try the matte foundation because it sounds like it would work really well with the primer because this is a very hydrating primer and this is of course more matte. So this foundation is $40 and I got the shade light medium, which might be a little bit dark. I have tried this a couple times before. I could have gone with a lighter shade, but I could definitely make this work. Described as a full coverage foundation, matte finish, also an oil-free and silicone-free formula, which I thought was really interesting. Even a lot of clean foundations nowadays do contain some sort of silicone. So very interested, but let's get this applied because I'm super excited. This is what the shade looks like on the back of my hand. I'm gonna start this by tapping it on one side of my face. I'll apply this side with a brush. This foundation, it does have a little bit of a fruity smell, but it's not nearly as strong as say the Bite Beauty Changemaker. It's definitely way less noticeable than that one. Definitely could have used less product. This is really full coverage. It's one of the first things I noticed about it. It also applies really nicely to the skin. It's not like how a lot of matte foundations will sort of stick where you put them. It really glides on the face, and I also think the primer is helping a little bit. I would suggest with any matte foundation, if you have normal to dry skin, just make sure your skin, even oily skin, just make sure your skin is prepped really well so the foundation will go on evenly. Just with one thin layer with a brush, it definitely covered the majority of my redness and acne scarring down here. Still peeking through a little bit, but most of it is covered, and I think the finish is really pretty. It's definitely not an overly matte foundation. It just looks like it's really gonna stay on my face, and it's with the primer, it does have a bit of a sheen to it. I also prep my skin with an oil, so it depends on probably how you prep your skin as well, the amount of matteness you get out of this, but I really love the finish of it. This other side of my face, I'm going to try a sponge. It is applying really nicely with the sponge. I feel like the coverage really isn't that much different compared to the brush side and the sponge side. That was so easy to blend out. It's kind of crazy. Finish up my forehead here. I think with the sponge, I don't really notice a huge difference in the amount of coverage. I feel like they're almost virtually the same. And I do think the sponge, it was a lot quicker to blend out. Either side, it's really easy to apply, super spreadable on the skin, so you could go either way. I'm just gonna go over the rest of my face with the sponge to pick up any extra product and just really press it into my skin. But so far, I really like the coverage and finish of everything. I feel like I didn't have to use a ton of product to get my desired amount of coverage. I'm taking the tiniest bit more of this foundation and putting it on my acne scarring to build up the coverage a little bit. But I'm not going to apply too much product in sake of the wear test, just to see how a thin layer will perform. I also feel like just with one layer, it covered everything that I wanted to, besides just my like very dark scarring. I will say that the claim of it being ultra weightless, I agree with. It really doesn't feel like I have any foundation on my skin, especially for a matte formula. I feel like they tend to be a little heavier when foundations are matte. So really impressed with this. I think it's doing good so far, so I'm excited to see how it wears. Next up, I do have the concealer from Milk Makeup. This is called their Flex Concealer. I decided to get the shade Cream, I believe. I'm pretty sure this is the shade Cream, which is very fair with warm peach undertones. I wanted to get it because peach is really nice to cancel out darkness. This is $28 and they have a lot of shades of this. They have 24 shades, which is awesome. I didn't mention the shade range in the foundation. Let me check really quick. Okay, they have 24 shades of the foundation. This claims to be a medium to full coverage concealer that covers, calms, and flexes without creasing or caking. So it comes in this little tube. I have used this before and I noticed like the doe foot that it has doesn't pick up a lot of product initially. So if you like to use a lot of concealer, like even just a semi-normal amount of concealer, I feel like I have to dip back into this tube a lot, which is my one critique of it. I just wish the applicator picked up more product. I'm going to blend this out with my Real Technique sponge. I like this concealer doesn't have a ton of coverage. It's more of on the lighter medium side in terms of a concealer. It does blend out evenly. I don't have any problems with it blending into the foundation or anything. I just feel like I wish it had a little bit more coverage. This concealer, I'm not initially really in love with how it looks under my eyes. As I mentioned, I wish it had a little bit more coverage. I'm gonna do a tiny bit more. And you know, it looks nice. It's not anything to write home about, you know? And this is the same, it's a similar concept to the Avocado Bendy Concealer by First Aid Beauty, where it's very lightweight and flexible. So if you do have problems with creasing, instead of it sinking into those lines, it flexes with your skin. So hopefully it won't crease on me. I usually have problems with creasy concealer, but we'll see. I totally forgot I had these in my little kit. I have the watermelon, what is this called? Watermelon brightening serum and the cooling water. I forgot to use these, but I have tried them before I filmed this video, and the cooling water is really interesting. I feel like it doesn't really do much though. Like, I don't really get what this is supposed to do. So this I'm not like crazy about. And then the stick watermelon serum, like they feel really refreshing on the skin. I don't know how I feel about stick serum though. I'd kind of prefer just like a pump. But they're really interesting. If you wanted something like super quick, you could swipe on your face. I could see the appeal of these. But those are just my thoughts on these little guys. Before I set the concealer, I have a couple cream products that I'm going to use. Next is another, I feel like, highly talked about Milk Makeup product. This is their matte bronzer in Baked. I was probably the most excited about this just because I've heard a lot about it. I've been more into cream bronzers lately and this just seemed really pretty. This is the mini size, of course. You can buy this mini size for $15. The full size is $28. And they have 3 shades of this, which is pretty cool. Described as a creamy matte bronzer for face and body. It has mango butter and avocado oil with milk melt technology to absorb into skin, blend quickly, and nourish. All right, cool. Let's put this on. I have been using this like every day since I got it. And so far, I've been really enjoying it. I think the small size is actually really nice because it fits a little bit better into the like contours of my face. Do a little reading rainbow right there. I'm going in with the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush to blend that out. As you can tell, it really does melt into the skin and blend super seamlessly. So far with all the claims that I feel like these products have, they have been living up to them. They're not like very unrealistic things like this is gonna make you look 10 years younger or some crap like that, you know? See, that was really easy. I think this is a great beginner or sort of just foolproof product if you want something super quick that's gonna look good. I feel like these are the products for that. That's kind of the vibe I get with Milk, is more of like a no makeup type of brand, but also just you don't got time for your makeup to be taking forever. I could also see these products being a great vacation type of makeup brand, like putting these in your beach bag if you just want like warmth on the face or coverage. They're all very, I feel like they're sensitive skin friendly. I do have more sensitive skin and none of them had been irritating my skin. I've only been using them for a couple days. But like so far nothing has a super strong smell or anything weird like that. I really enjoy the shade of this as well. It is a more warm bronzer, as you can tell, but it doesn't lean too orange. Like I've used this when I have my natural skin tone and don't have a fake tan on, and it still looks really nice. And I have a couple other shades, so I think they did great with the tonality of this. Right, next up is a product I've been really enjoying, and I totally didn't think I was gonna like this. This is called their Glimmer Glow Oil Lip and Cheek product, which is just like this little stick of, it's a very dewy, like brighter pink. Even just this on the lips I think is so pretty, and this looks really pretty on the cheeks too. It's very dewy. Instead of applying this directly on my face because I don't want to disrupt the foundation too much, I'm going to get some product on the back of my hand first. I'm going to take a brush and evenly apply it and then dab this on my cheeks. I always do this, especially if you have textured skin and you don't want your foundation to pick up. Just an easier way to apply it without any other complications. I thought the shade would be a little bit too bright, but since it is very like sheer and dewy, as you can tell, I think it just looks really, really pretty. I'm not sure on deeper skin how this would like show up because it is so sheer, but I do really like how it just adds this sheen to your cheek, like especially with the matte foundation. I think it looks so pretty. This little kit did come with their stick highlight, which I'm not going to use today because I wanted to get their new powder highlight. This is called just their Blitz highlighter. This isn't my favorite. I wouldn't really recommend this. It's a really pretty shade, but it has a chunkier gold shimmer to it. Like you can see the particles of it on your face. If you like that, I think you would enjoy this, but for me this just like isn't my personal favorite highlight. I didn't set my under eyes and lightly in the T-zone with my Ilia Soft Focus Finishing Powder. And what I noticed is even though I let this concealer sit on my face, it didn't really crease enough in that amount of time that I find with some concealers do. So I do like that aspect of it, and it set really nicely, like it looks smooth, nothing's really creased. I did leave this part of my face unset because I just wanted to see like how the bronzer stick and the cheek oil sort of performed on its own, but I did set like my forehead, chin, smile lines. All right, for our highlight, I'm really excited about this. I've been swatching this at Sephora for the longest time, and I finally decided to get it. This is the Iced Flex Highlighter. They have 3 shades of this, I believe. This one is like a very light gold, which I was really interested in getting because I don't really have any more champagne highlights that are light enough for my skin tone. If you have very fair skin like me, you know that sometimes like any sort of gold highlight, they usually show up dark on fair skin. But this one, I like how they made it with a light enough base that like you could wear it if you have fair skin, but I also think this would work for medium skin as well. This highlight, like it's definitely on the more dramatic side. If you like a metallic highlight, like you would love this. I feel like you can tone it down to a certain extent. It's still very, you know, it's very much like that's a highlighter, but it doesn't have a chunky shimmer in it like their stick highlight did. So it does still look relatively natural. This does retail for $28 and they have 4 different shades. And it's called a Silky Pearl and Gemstone Packed Pressed Highlight that glides on smooth without creasing or caking. Has hyaluronic acid, crushed gemstones, and marshmallow root extract. Here's a closer look at what the foundation is looking like so far. As you can tell, the cheeks are very dewy. I like how the highlight and bronzer and cheek product all work together. I think the base looks really nice. You can still see some of my acne scarring, but overall it did a really nice job at evening my skin tone out. And I'm not getting like any creasing in my smile lines yet or anything under my eyes, so I'm excited about this. I'm gonna go ahead and put on some brows off camera. We'll be back for the eyeshadow and mascara and all that goodness. And to eyes, I don't have any of the Milk Makeup eyeshadow products. I think it would be really cool if Milk Makeup did like an eyeshadow palette. I would definitely be into that. But instead, I'm going to use the Aether Beauty. This is their Summer Solstice palette. I'm going to do a warm tone look similar to the look I wore in my best Clean at Sephora video because I just really liked how that looked. To start, I'm taking this light peachy cream shade as my transition. I'm really into these eyeshadows lately. They blend so nicely. I kind of want to pick up a new one. I think they're having a sale, 25% off right now. I'm not sure if it'll still be going on when I post this, but if you guys want to see any looks with these, or let me know what palette you think I should get next. I do already have the Rose Quartz in the Summer Solstice, of course. I was thinking maybe the blue one that has like all those metallic shades because I think the metallic formulas are just unreal in these. But yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm just building this up, by the way. Next up, I'm taking the deeper warm, this is like a reddish brown, and I'm gonna focus this closer to my crease. I'm focusing this on the outer half of my eye just because I have more round eyes. I don't like to put a ton of product on this inner corner. The look that I wore was like a halo eye, which I really like, so I'm gonna do same tone, just a different variation. So I'm not going to put any darkness in the inner corner. Keep it pretty smoky towards the outer edge though. Taking whatever is left on that brush and bringing it on the outer half of my lower lash line. Again, not putting anything too dark towards the inner part of my eye. The color actually reminds me a lot, this one right here that I just used, of the Anastasia Jackie Aina palette, the shade Edges. Let's swatch them. I also feel like the formulas are really similar. Anastasia is definitely a little bit more pigmented, but in terms of like the softness and blendability, I think they're very similar. So that's like a little bit deeper and less red maybe. This is actually a pretty simple look. I only use 3 shades. For my lid, I'm going to take this really pretty gold. It almost has a greenish hue to it. It's not a very yellow gold, which I love. It's so stunning. And I find these apply best with your finger. So I'm going to use this just starting from the inner part of my lid all the way to the inner corner, then tapping the excess into the outer corner to blend everything. Next up for eyeliner, I really want to use this new Charlotte Tilbury. These are their, I got the name of this new collection. It's like an enhanced, Eye Color Magic collection. This is the Copper Charge Eye Pencil, which has a metallic shade and then a matte liner. I also have all the eyeshadow palettes. If you guys want to see a look using those, definitely let me know. I think it would be really fun. I know they're not like clean eyeshadows, but I just think they're stunning palettes. So I'm going to take this matte shade. Let me swatch these really quickly for you guys. I do have a picture of all of these, the liners and the palettes, on my Instagram, but that's a metallic, and then it has this like deep burgundy eyeliner, which I feel like I've been wanting forever. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a wing with this. I finished up my wing, and then I used the metallic side just on my lower lash line and on the inner corner to do a little bit of an ombre wing, and then blended everything out. But let's move on to the mascara I have from Milk Makeup, which is their Kush mascara. They do have a waterproof version of this as well, and lash primer, but I got the mini size. You can buy the mini for $12 on Sephora as well. I tried this once before and I really enjoyed the effect. I didn't wear it for a really long time, so I didn't know if it flaked or smudged. That's what we're going to be testing today. I didn't curl my lashes or anything. I'm just gonna go straight in with this to show you guys the effect it gives on its own. I just have a very voluminizing type of brush, which usually isn't my favorite. So there's just one light coat. I really love the effect of this. It's definitely more voluminizing as compared to being a very lengthening mascara. I really like the sort of like soft, fluttery look it gives. It does lean on the more natural side. I think it works really well for the bottom lashes too. Sometimes with these brushes, can be hard to get your bottom lashes. I'm gonna go ahead and do one more coat on this eye before moving on. So there's 2 coats. I think 2 coats really makes this look so beautiful. I really do enjoy the effect of this. I think I don't really have a lot of mascaras that do this sort of more voluminizing type of, it's really hard to describe, but it's just a very pretty type of looking lash. Alright, here's what the mascara looks like on both of my peepers. I do have the lip and cheek oil thing on my lips right now. I'm not sure I'm going to keep it because it is like more of a bright pink and I want to go for more of a warmish type of shade to match with our eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on some lips, and then I'll be back and do a little bit of a roundup of what I think so far. Then we're gonna do a wear test, and then I'll wrap up my thoughts at the end of the day. A little bit of a late start today, it's 2 o'clock, but I will go ahead and wear it for the rest of the day as long as possible, and then check in with you guys at the end of the day and probably maybe around the middle of the day as well. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back for my final check-in. It is now 9:30. I put this on at 2:30. It's been on around 7 hours. I haven't really looked at my face too much so far, so let's see what we're working with. So in terms of oiliness, I feel like it did do a really good job. Like, I usually get very oily in my T-zone, and it looks decent. Like, my forehead looks way less oily than it usually does. I still did get oil on the sides of my nose, and because of that, it looks a little bit cakey, really only specifically on this side. A little bit of settling in my smile lines, and I feel like the upper lip just started to look a little bit cakey, and then it wore off on my chin. I'm pretty sure I was touching it though. Usually this area is where my foundation will start to break up, so it's not really too surprising for me in terms of the wear of a foundation. But the bronzer and blush and highlight, everything looks good. I feel like that, like the cheek oil that I put on didn't really stay too good just because it's sort of an oil. I think it might have just like absorbed into my skin. But other than that, I think it looks pretty decent. The mascara did smudge, if you can see, like right under my eyes. And I don't know, I feel like the mascara for it smudging, and it did give me a little bit of flaking too that I already sort of brushed off. There's still some on my nose though. I think the effect of the mascara was nice. I feel like it didn't really hold very much of a curl. It looked really nice at first, and I think it kind of lost some of that throughout the day, so that's also something I just wanted to point out. So now, just to wrap up my thoughts on everything I tried, starting with skincare. These little sticks I wasn't like a huge fan of. I can kind of see the appeal of them for being super quick. I don't know, not crazy about these. I also wanted to mention the moisturizer. I totally forgot to use this in the video, but this was a little sample I got. I also have used a sample packet of their new moisturizer, and I was really surprised with this. I've tried so many moisturizers, and I really like the texture of this. It's a bit thicker, and it makes your like skin feel really moisturized without any sort of greasiness or feeling like you have a layer of something on your skin. So I really like this. I wanted to mention it. I think it's the perfect moisturizer for under makeup. Just like a really nice formula. I didn't really expect from a makeup brand to have such a nice skincare product. And then the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I really like the texture of this. I'll definitely continue using this and see how it performs with other foundations, because so far I can't really tell if it did make a difference in the foundation. I'll have to do some more testing. But so far I really like the texture of it, and I think it's a really cool, interesting product. And then the foundation did wear pretty well on my skin. Definitely more of a matte finish. I think it went on super smoothly, looked beautiful on the skin. I do notice with this, it tends to wear off like where I touch my face, so it's not totally transfer proof, I don't think, because I think I just get a little bit more wear off than I do with other foundations with this specific foundation. Yeah, I do really like it. Something I'm gonna have to play around with a little bit more. I love the coverage of it. I really like the finish. It doesn't feel very drying, and I did notice in terms of my oils reacting with it that it like stayed pretty matte throughout the day as well. It's not a matte foundation that claims that it's matte and then gets really oily throughout the day. It stayed nice and matte, which is what I would want for a matte foundation. I think that's about it I want to say about this foundation. I really enjoy it. I think it looks nice on my texture as well. Didn't enhance it, applies well with a brush or a sponge. So I'm excited to try this out even more and see how it performs under different circumstances. I might exchange this for a different shade though through online, because it's just a little bit dark for me. I can make it work, but I'd prefer a different shade. So maybe I'll do that. Alright, now for the Milk Flex Concealer. I wasn't crazy about this at first. I don't enjoy how the doe foot doesn't pick up a lot of product. Like, you really have to keep dipping back in. Like, it really does pick up such a tiny amount of product. But other than that, I was pretty surprised at how it wore. I mean, it doesn't give you a ton of coverage. It's more of like a light or medium coverage. But I think it would be a nice everyday concealer. Feels really weightless. Same thing for the foundation. I really love how lightweight they feel on the skin. Silicone-free foundation, which I think is really cool. Yeah, I didn't really get a ton of creasing. A tiny bit of settling under my eyes. That's completely normal for me though. I think it did a really good job. It didn't crease a lot or get cakey or anything of that nature. So again, a pretty nice product I'll have to continue using. Would I recommend it over my other concealers? Probably not. I think I still like my Cover FX one a little bit better. But if you want something a little bit lighter on the skin, I think this is maybe a good option for you. Again, I don't know, I'll still have to play around with this one. To the little stick products, the baked bronzer, I really love the formula of this. It stayed on all day, it didn't get patchy. I didn't even set this part of my face and it looked really nice. I think the tone of it is great. I love how this is in a stick form. I think it's a really interesting cream bronzer product that I might get the full size if I go through this one. But if you want to try this, I think this little size is almost even better because it just fits more into the contours of your face. Really enjoy this. I understand why it's hyped. It is a great bronzer. And then next, the Milk Makeup Glimmer Glow Oil Lip and Cheek. I really like how this looks at first. I feel like it didn't really last throughout the day. It is sort of just like an oil, so I didn't really expect it to last a super long time because it kind of just absorbs into the skin, but it is really pretty. I enjoy it on the lips as well. This is something that surprised me. I don't really have anything similar to this in my collection. And then this is probably my least favorite stick product. It's the Bliss highlighter. I'm not sure if they have other shades of this, but it's just like the color's nice. The shimmer's just a little bit chunky for my preference, but other than that, you know, it's a similar formula to the bronzer. I just wish there was less visible glitter through it. And lastly, for the Milk Kush Mascara, I liked the effect at first. I feel like it did lose its curl throughout the day, which I'm not a huge fan of, and it did smudge and flake, so I wouldn't really recommend this. I still like my Ilia one better than this. I like the effect. I think it's interesting. It's more of a voluminous, very soft looking mascara, but I just wouldn't necessarily reach for this again over my Ilia one, so because of that, I would say pass on this. Forgot, but the Milk Makeup Iced Flex Highlighter, I think this is one of my top picks from the brand. It is definitely more of a metallic, dramatic highlight. If you don't like a very dramatic highlight, you wouldn't like this formula because it is just very blingy, but I love that about it because I don't have a ton of highlights in my collection that are this dramatic and this tone specifically. I like how it's a gold, but still light enough where it doesn't like look dark on my cheekbones. I think the packaging is really cute as well. I recommend this. I think probably my top three would be the highlighter, the foundation, and then the primer. Out of everything I've tried, I think these are just the most impressive products in my opinion. Maybe the bronzer though, I really like this. Top 4. Guys, that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Everything I use will be linked and listed below. Let me know what you guys think of Milk Makeup. Have you tried anything? Do you have favorites from the brand? I'd love to hear your thoughts, but thank you again for watching and I'll see you in my next video.